Hello and welcome. Sit tight. Catch Dog Concepts will be live very soon. Thank you for tuning in. What's up? What's up? What's up? Salute to the chat. Salute to the dog community. How y'all doing? We got another episode of Catch Dog Concepts. We got an interview with my guy, AUTHENTICK9. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Like I said, your program's cold, so definitely want to get on here and pick your brain.
I appreciate that, man.
So, give people a brief introduction of yourself. Who you are and what you got going.
Sure. So I'm James from AUTHENTIC9. I've been in dogs since, officially since probably 2017.
Okay.
We started working dogs first, and just for the joy of it and necessity, really, and then it kind of branched out from there. And I've got to meet some great people along the way.
Okay. Nice. All right. So, what was your first introduction to dogs?
A dog, man. Sounds silly, but I had a Maltese when I was, probably 8 years old, something like that. He was a cool little dog. And then my first dog on my own was a rescue pit from the pound,
Yeah.
So that's how I learned the ways of dogs, and it's been a journey ever since.
Okay. All right. So what made you choose the Scott type American Bulldog, and when did you first run into them?
Well, what led us to the Scott Bulldogs was we were actually looking for something to complement what we had, which was boxer Old English crosses.
Yeah.
And also band dogs at that time.
Oh, okay. So the Scott came a little later.
It did, yes.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and we were looking for something that could kind of help us out in both arenas. We had fantastic dogs, but the boxer oldies that we had, they were lacking muzzle, they were lacking leg, really, but they had all the drive and intensity that you could ask for from a bulldog.
Right.
I don't believe there's such thing as a perfect dog, so we're always looking for ways to get better. And
Absolutely.
That was just a clear-cut way on how to add what we needed to those dogs. And then at the same time, with our band dogs that we had, they are heavy mastiff type band dogs.
Right.
There's not much bulldog in them at all, like sub 5%.
Yeah.
And we looked at it like we had these mastiffs that were already, bangers, and they were a little smaller than a Neo or a Fila or whatever people use.
Right.
People like to do that American Pit Bull Terrier Neo cross, and they cite that as the end all be all of band dogs. And we were like, well, let's come at this a little different way. And we have a little bit smaller of a mastiff. Let's go a little bit bigger of a bulldog. And then that way we're not losing any man aggression with the Scott dogs. And also there's no sacrifice in size or drive or anything like that either.
Right. Okay. All right. My next question now. So why did you choose the American Pit Bull Terrier?
Sure, because for us, dog aggression is something that we have enough of as it is, and it's manageable, but our dogs can, except for a few of them, they can all make good choices.
Right.
And we like to hunt our dogs when we can, and we like our dogs to be able to hunt in packs. And just the feedback that I had gotten on the American Pit Bull Terrier was, if you need dogs to be working together, a true game dog isn't what you're after there.
Yeah.
And then also a lot of them, they're specialists, right? So they do one thing really, really well. Some are bred for other things, don't get me wrong, but those are kind of diamonds in the rough. If you get like a very man aggressive American Pit Bull Terrier,
Yeah.
and the specialists there, they're tested in the box, they're worked in the box, and then they're put on their chain spot. Sometimes environmentals can get wayward there. You'll see some things that I don't really want in my dogs in some American Pit Bull Terriers.
Right.
Whereas the Scott dogs are generalists. They come from American Pit Bull Terriers. That's in their DNA. I'm not one of the people who believe that they came off the Mayflower and they've been untouched from England this whole time.
Yeah.
They came from the rural South. They're Southern Bulldogs, and part of that, if you look at the early dogs, there's definitely some Colby dog in there, and some other things.
That's the second time I've heard that now. That it's I think I had a gentleman on. They said it was a Johnson. I think it was a Johnson to a Pit Bull. That's what that man said.
Yeah, I don't think so. That's not what I think. If you look at, again, these are my views.
Right.
If you look at when they got really English bulldog looking, there was a dog called West Champ's High Hope, and Johnson and David Levitt did a breeding, and it was a Johnson Bulldog to an English Bulldog, and David Levitt kept some of those dogs for his Old English Bulldog program, which he's the creator of the Old English, right?
Yeah.
And if you look, since that dog was introduced into the American Bulldog pedigrees, the dogs have become a lot more English Bulldog-like. And definitely. I think if you look back at like one of the, the root dogs is Mac the Masher. If you pull up a picture of Mac the Masher, it looks just like a Colby dog.
Yeah.
So they're in there from the beginning. Johnson used Mac the Masher, and Alan used them as well. You produced great dogs like Sandman the Great for one, and I think that the influence of the Pit Bull and that dog in particular definitely shows itself in the breed even today.
I just quickly searched it up and I saw Mac the Masher. It does look like a Pit Bull.
Yeah,
it definitely does. That's crazy. Yeah, it does.
Wow. And if you talk to, or you look at an interview, I've studied a lot, and I've seen an interview with
I hear it.
John Johnson, right? And he said, "Oh yeah, Mac the Masher was a great American Bulldog. Yeah, he was a little bit longer in the muzzle, but he was a great American Bulldog." So there's always been a bit of variation in the breed, I'd say. The two men definitely went their different ways, but one was more influenced for cattle work and catch work, and the other for a big guardian type dog, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay. So can you kind of get into the story of what's the gentleman's names? Can you get into the background story of the Scott American Bulldog and the Johnson American Bulldog, as far as the two creators of them and their eventual split?
Sure. And obviously I wasn't there for it.
Right.
It's obviously what I know from talking to folks and old timers and things, but they all worked together, they bred together. They were trying to preserve these dogs, and if you read Alan's take on it, he beat John Johnson in a show, and then after he beat John D in that show, John D didn't want nothing to do with Alan anymore.
Yeah.
And it's pretty interesting. But after that, they kind of had their split, and you see if you go back and you read some literature and some interviews and magazine articles, there was a lot of talk from one side, and the other kind of was just like, I'm just gonna do my thing. And but the real split in terms of the dogs and them going their separate ways was evident that John D wanted these big 150-pound English bulldogs,
Right.
beautiful dogs,
Yeah.
very imposing, but they couldn't do what Alan needed them to do, which was
Right.
work in the woods, work on the farm, be able to survive that Alabama humidity and heat, and do the job that it was meant to do without going into too much detail. Those dogs just couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
They got too big.
Okay. So what are some things that make Seth the Scott American Bulldog apart from other dogs? Not only the Johnson type American Bulldog, but some other dogs as far as working breeds.
Sure. So, I mean, I've had a lot of dogs. We've had dogos. I've worked with pit bulls. I haven't owned any except that pound dog. I don't really count him. But comparative to the dogo, I think you have a much more stable dog. A dog that is grittier.
Okay.
A lot grittier, a lot easier to work. Dogos are a bit quirky. Working them in protection, they can do it. Don't get me wrong. Like some of them can definitely do it. It's just the route to get to where you need to be is you're taking a lot of twists and turns trying to figure out what works. They will redirect on the handler and come up on the leash when they get real frustrated. I mean, there's some really good ones out there. I'm not trying to trash any dogs, but for me, it was just a lot easier with the Scott dogs. Once we got those dogs, it's like, oh wow, what have I been missing out on this whole time? To be honest, and it's just a lot more point and shoot.
Right.
And then with the pit bull, I think I kind of touched on that a little bit. With, I would say, a dog that gets used in the way, except for catch work, I don't see too many bullies getting used in catch work, but I've seen some. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I have. I've seen some too. Yeah,
and they've done well. I'm not bashing them, but in terms of man work, I see a lot of bullies doing sport work, man work, and they can do a great job.
Right.
The difference that I see is, and this could be due to popularity, but you don't read about the American Bulldog that killed the kid.
Yeah.
You don't.
Right.
These guys are just tried and true with children. I have 3 kids, and they're just great family dogs.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I have friends with bullies, and they're like, don't bring your kids around the dogs, And it is what it is. They enjoy their dogs for what they are, set the appropriate boundaries, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that's just not what I want in my dogs.
Right. Okay. And that was a great statement on that question, man. Let me see.
I'm trying. Yeah.
Hey, you're doing a great job right now. I say I like what you doing. What I'm throwing towards you. what are some differences and some similarities of the Scott American Bulldogs and the Johnson American Bulldogs? If you can tell me some.
Sure. I'd say grit. A bulldog is a bulldog, I think, and I've seen some Johnson dogs that'll get down. They have the heart, and they'll get down and catch some boars and stuff like that. They'll do man work. The difference is how they do it. Like with the man work, I would say the Johnsons are a lot more defensive, like the bully type dogs.
Yeah.
And people say that there was Mastiff added in there to make them so dang big.
Yeah.
That would align with the defensive nature of those dogs, because they act very Mastiff-y in terms of their suspicion. Because my bulldogs work man work, but they work from a different place. It's not from, oh, who are you? I don't like you.
Yeah.
It's from a cool, I got somebody to get down with.
Yeah.
We're gonna have fun. It's a different attitude. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. There's different approaches for what you need.
Right.
But that's a big difference. And similarity. They both do it. They just do it a different way.
Okay.
Let me see if I can think of any more. I mean, they have the prey drive on the animals for sure. Like I said, I've seen them hog hunt. I've gotten one on hogs. We had one. She wasn't Johnson blood, but she was a bully type AB.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we had to wash her from the program. But she was a good dog. Just not what we wanted to move forward with.
Right. Okay. So you do a little bit of showing. So I noticed that you put some dogs in some show. So you did state there's no issues. There the Scott did bring any animal aggression or dog aggression issues. Are there any issues you may see with the Scott Bulldogs when it comes to showing?
Yeah, and I want to kind of walk that back just a touch, because I was saying there's no, like, the dog aggression isn't the same as a game dog.
Yeah.
Is there dog aggression? Yeah, there is.
Right. I figured that. I just didn't word that how I should have.
Like at the shows, you'll see dogs. I haven't seen Alan's dogs. When I say Alan, I mean Alan Scott. Yeah. I haven't seen his dogs act funny at shows, like with judges or dogs. But yeah, you'll see some dogs go after other dogs and things like that, and it's kind of allowed. Not the judge part, but the dog aggression is allowed. They're bulldogs, right?
Yeah.
But with our dogs, no, they know how to behave, and I haven't had one issue at all with the dog aggression. And I mean, our dogs even have the outcross of pit bull in them, an additional outcross of game dog in them. Yeah. But the Scott Bulldog, the stability is there, so it kind of keeps them calm around other things. They don't care. They're not worried about it. Now, if someone's going to pop off, they'd be happy to get down with them, and they'll have a good time. But like, there's no snarling, raised lips, or anything like that. It's cool, let's bang. But they're not going to go start it.
Yeah. Okay. So I do want to ask you this. I don't know if you have an answer for me, but where does the bulldog term for pit bulls derive from? Do you know the answer to that?
The bulldog term that pit bulls derive from?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like the nickname or the name that people call pit bulls, American Pit Bull Terriers, they call them bulldogs.
Yeah. Well, the way I understand it, they call the ones that get down bulldogs.
Okay.
Bulldog is a verb in that instance. It's that dog can bulldog. It's like an earned title. Like that dog's a real bulldog.
Right.
Whereas an American bulldog, it's part of the name. Now there's some real bulldogs and American bulldogs too, but that's where that comes from. It's like you do bulldog shit with your bulldogs,
right?
And
okay.
Yeah, like if nowadays the legal way to do it would be go to test your dog against formidable quarry, right? Like a wild boar, especially those Russian types. If your dog can hang with one of those, and I'm not talking about having a bunch of other dogs there with it, chewing on it at the same time. I see so many videos of like 7 to 9 dogs chewing on it. I honestly feel like it's disrespectful to the boar, because they're respectable animals. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get that they're a nuisance and people want them out, but at the same time, let's make it a little more sporting.
Give them a fair one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if your dog can hang like in a sporting manner, then I'd say it's bulldog.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I've never heard anybody give a clear, like the term, or I mean like a clear description of what that term means. So thank you for that.
Yeah, with like back in the day when the laws were different, the the game dogs that would fight, if it was a good one, they call it bulldog.
Okay. So this argument has gone around for a while. I'm positive you heard it, but people argue about snouts or bite, as far as a longer muzzle or a smushed in face. Which one is more which one is more beneficial when it comes to catch work, man or beast? Which one is more beneficial or can get the job done in a easier or proper fashion? What's your take on that?
Sure, there's different answers depending on who you ask.
Right.
The shorter muzzle, short square muzzle, obviously to a point. There's points of diminishing return for that where it's too short, where it's not applicable and it's not going to work. But bulldogs bite so hard because of the structure of their jaws. They don't have the same jaw type as a herder. Herders bite hard too, but it's more of a clamp, and they're getting you in the back of their mouth.
Yeah, they're jarring you in.
Yeah, and that's why people are like, oh, it's like crushing me. Whereas a bulldog, it's a different kind of hard. I think they're both really hard, and it depends on the dog and its mentality just as much as it depends on the jaw structure. Obviously, some jaws are better suited to biting hard. I do think the bulldog structure gets it done. Like my dog Pride probably has the hardest bite out of all our dogs on the yard, I think. And I've seen him when he was starting in catch work, he bit this hog, and you just heard the bones popping. It sounded like a firecracker almost.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and then the aftermath of that was something else. But like a dog like that where it's not too smushed in, but it's short, like bulldog standard, like a standard dog. I think they bite pretty dang hard, man.
Okay. That's definitely like a more biased question, depending on who you ask. Like, I mean, you're a bulldog owner, and then you got a lot of shepherd owners, a herder owner. So definitely, it depends on who you ask.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't want to get bit by either.
Oh, that definitely, yeah.
And it's very similar to, do you want a dog that pushes in the bite, or do you want a dog that pulls? A lot of people get into that argument, but I think it comes down to preference. I think you probably could quantify which dog bites harder if you get a measurement somehow. I don't know how to do that, but I'm sure some scientist somewhere could get that done.
I have I did an interview with a scientist. Well, I think he was a geneticist, but I mean, it's not in the same. It's kind of in the same realm. I'm sure you have something to say about that, so I'll definitely bring that up. I appreciate you for that. What was I going to ask you? Something else. Okay, yeah, I remember now. When it comes to American Bulldog, what style of training is more beneficial, prey or defense? You kind of touched on it a little bit, but which one do you prefer?
Well, I think that, and I attribute this to my friends out there in the DMV. I learned combat dogs need combat, right? So you're gonna if it's not real, a lot of them will not take it seriously.
Yeah.
All bulldogs there's a big spectrum of bulldogs, and you need to work the dog in front of you. I like high prey bulldogs. And that doesn't mean they're not serious, right? Like, it's not like, oh, it's a sport dog. No, you could, pick this dog up over your head and throw it on the ground, and it's just going to be wagging its tail, having a great, and that extreme prey threshold, and you can still get that by making it real, tapping into defense, alleviating that with prey, eventually, basically, forming an attitude that I can turn any threat into prey.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. I like that. I like how you worded that too. Yeah, that does. Yeah. That does make sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's some dogs that are going to be more defensive anyway, and they get stuck in defense. But if you can create the mindset that no matter what that is in front of me, I can kill it.
Yeah.
And that training isn't always pretty. But I feel like, especially if you're a breeder, you need to be willing to have your dogs dig deep and put them in spots where they might lose and see how they act. And the ones that come out the other side, those are the ones. What do they say? Pressure makes diamonds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's how I like it. You tap into defense. You're building avoidance threshold. You're tapping into something primal in the dog. It's like it's combat, and then with a good helper, a good decoy, they channel that into prey, and then you're creating a monster.
Right.
And it's not for everybody.
Yeah,
it's my preference. Not everybody can handle a dog like that. Not everybody should own a dog like that, but that's how I like my dogs.
Okay. So since you kind of spoke on it, what are some things you look for from your decoy?
Well, I like them to work the dog in front of them, right?
Right.
And having these off breeds, it's not the easiest, because these clubs are dominated by herders, and for good reason, right?
Oh yeah.
But the way I like my dogs worked is a little different than a lot of the people that I train with, but my Decoy is great. The one I'm working with now, he actually, it's cool. I'm back with the guy that I started dogs with. He got me into working dogs. We've been moving around the country, and now we're back where with my boy Justin. Shout out to Justin Campos at Raw PSA Club. And he works my dogs the way I like, where you're not I don't like it when decoys give the dog too much help.
Yeah.
Where they're dancing an Irish jig in front of this dog to get him to come out and do something.
Right.
Like, what bad guy is ever going to do that?
They're just going to walk. They're going to just keep pushing forward. Yeah.
Right. Like, Michael Jackson is not going to rob me. You know, like,
no.
It's not happening.
Straight to the point.
Yeah. And building that attitude, where it's attitude before grips. I like, and I learned that from the folks out east in the DMV. I didn't always train like that, so I attribute the success that I've had with a lot of my dogs to that methodology of training. A lot of decoys give grips too soon and too often, and the dog works for the grip. They think that the grip is the reward, whereas I like a decoy to build my dog where the work is the reward, not the grip.
Yeah, I like that. It's definitely a great way to definitely something to look for.
Right.
I was gonna say something. Okay. What are some things that a decoy can do that can hurt a dog's development or even break them as far as being a protection dog or a dog that works?
Sure. And again, this is from a standpoint where, yeah, I do decoy dogs. Mm-hmm. I'm not a professional dog trainer.
Right.
I know what I like with my dogs. I just want to say that I'm not trying to act like I'm some, certified PSA decoy or anything.
Yeah, and let me say, I mean, with this, somebody's not going to agree with whatever show I do or whoever I have on. Somebody's not going to agree. So, I mean, the whole point of me doing this is just to get somebody's point from what they've developed over the years as far as training, developing dogs, and all that. So, I mean, this is your perspective. That's why I got you on here to tell your points and your aspects. So,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So, starting off soon. Well, it depends on the dog. Obviously, a herder, man, you can have that thing 8 weeks old, hanging from rags, giving grips all over.
Oh yeah,
and the dog's probably going to turn out fine unless it's shit.
Right.
So, and there are plenty of those out there. Don't
yeah.
But for the type of dogs that I have, and people that have dogs like I do, doing too much too soon. I've learned, especially as a breeder, I like the wait and see approach because I'm not conditioning the dogs to do anything, and I get to see who they are naturally, what their genetics show.
Right.
But that aside, giving too many grips too soon, making the dog addicted to biting the grip, biting the equipment. You can get an equipment focused dog. Focusing on equipment, focusing on one piece of equipment. Like my dog does really good on this sleeve. I'll use this. But then when you bring something else out, it doesn't perform. Like, that's okay. We'll just use that one because I want to get my Instagram shots.
Right.
All right. Now that's the decoy's fault and the handler's fault. You need to advocate for your dog as a handler. But yeah, that too much pressure too soon, that's again why I like to wait, because I like to do it right. And a more mature dog can take it take more pressure than, a puppy.
Right.
If you do the same test to the same dog, but once at 6 months old and then once at 18 months old, it's the same dog, but you more than likely you're getting different results.
Yeah, it's gonna be a difference. Yeah.
Right. But if you do that one at 6 months old, you might not get the same result at 18 months old because you fucked the dog up.
Right. Yeah.
Most
definitely.
So there's that. As far as breaking dogs, I think just doing too much too soon. As somebody who has mastiffs and breeds mastiffs and places mastiffs, that's something that I've had to watch, like third party, like hey, I don't think that works very good. And I'm telling my clients like what I would do. I mean, I try to make it all constructive, and because decoys are sensitive too. I'm not like, I don't care if I hurt people's feelings if I'm advocating for the dog, but at the same time, network is everything. And
right.
To build professional relationships in this business to be successful. So
definitely,
if I can help in any way by helping them help their client, because I know the line of dogs pretty well and how they succeed and what works for them. If I can share some insights with the decoy, I will. And I've had some good success with people being open-minded and taking that to heart. So,
makes stuff easier.
Yeah, definitely. I've lucked out in that way. But the mastiffs need to wait. Like if you take everybody gets a new toy, man, and they want to play with it. Like, oh, look what I got.
Yeah.
Oh, it barked at somebody outside the window. I think he's ready for bite work. No, that's barrier aggression, territorial aggression. Yeah, the suspicion is there, but it's going to be different when you take them off your property and you put them on a field with somebody. And people get carried away too much too soon, especially with decoys that haven't worked mastiffs.
Yeah.
And bulldogs can take it better, don't get me wrong, but it's just you won't damage the bulldog as much as you will the mastiff. But someone might tell you that you have a dud when really they just didn't take that guy seriously at all.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Yep, it definitely does. What are some ways you might develop a mastiff type dog or a mastiff different from a bull breed?
You're waiting longer, number one.
I mean, yeah, because they grow at a slower rate. I mean, they develop mentally at a slower rate.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting. Personally, what I try to advise people to do is, wait until they're 18 months and then just go for it.
Yeah.
And instead of like, I'm not with the puppy rag work and all that from a decoy. Like, I'll play that with my own dog,
right?
But I'm not going to go to a decoy and do that with a mastiff. I don't think it's beneficial. It can be. I'm not saying don't. Whoever does that is stupid or whatever. I'm sure it's worked in some cases, but it's just not how I like to build my dogs. I like to focus on intent and attitude, and you can't really do that in a healthy way when a dog is young.
Right.
So instead of building a potential equipment fixation or hey, this is all a fun game. That's great, but I like to build attitude. So you do that later on.
Right. Okay. What are some ways you prevent human aggression in your mastiff type dogs?
Prevent it. Well, so what I tell everybody that gets a mastiff from us is they're dark-minded dogs. Ours are a little brighter than most, but they see the world as an evil place, man.
Wow. Okay.
They are looking at it like that's just their natural disposition, right?
Right.
So, like, who's that dude? Who's that? Who's that? And the, don't like if you don't want that, if they start barking, or don't reinforce that behavior. Don't reinforce the behaviors that you don't want your dog to have. If it's in the right context, go for it. But if your dog starts barking at a statue or something, and you're like, "Oh, look at that! That's so funny. Good boy, Rex." Okay, well now your mastiff is like, okay, that's what I need to do.
Yeah, yeah. You get praise for it, right?
There's somebody passive right there, not doing anything,
just standing there.
It's fair game. Like,
yeah,
okay, yeah. So what we do is we want a lot of socialization early on with the dogs. Teach them the world is a good place, and that's paramount to the success of these dogs. Otherwise, they will revert back to that dark mindset, which comes from those Neapolitan Mastiffs and Corsos, all those big dogs, man. They so defensive. It's what they were bred for, right? To be real estate guardians.
Yeah, they weren't supposed to be. They're not supposed to be kind.
No, they're not.
No.
Right. So I like a dog that's neutral, aloof, and can turn on when it needs to turn on. I don't like overly aggressive dogs because they're a liability.
Right.
I have a couple dogs that I would call dangerous dogs, but they're not for everybody. And I can't like rehome them. You know what I mean?
Right.
That being said, with us, they're fantastic. And I kind of shaped them the way I wanted to. Some of it's obviously genetic, but I made it okay to be that way for them. But for your everyday family, that's not what you want. You want a family companion guardian that's gonna be neutral. If anyone comes on your property that's not supposed to be there, they're gonna tell them to leave. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people say this. I mean, the best bite is no bite. I mean, being a deterrent. I mean, that's the first thing you want from your dog.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that that's a job well done if the dog can convince somebody to go away,
right,
without having to go through the hassle of a lawsuit, police, whatever.
Time, all that.
Right. Oh, we got to quarantine your dog. Some states your dog might get put down. You're going to jail maybe, and you're getting sued. Even if it's on your property, that can still happen. Like in California, if you live in California or a state like that, even if your dog's just doing his job, that dog could still get put down, and you could get sued.
Right. Yep. That's crazy, but I mean that's the world we live in. So
I mean, for me personally, I obviously test to make sure that our dogs will do more than just be a deterrent, and we breed for more than a deterrent. But a deterrent is all that most people need.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people don't need a dog that'll eat a man alive. They don't need that.
No, not at all. And I forget what it was, but it's probably an old stat now. But there's an FBI stat that said basically like 90+% of burglars, if they see it any medium-sized dog or a dog, period, they're out.
Yeah.
They're out. It doesn't matter. It could be a lab. They're just out. They don't want to deal with it. There's something easier down the street.
Yeah. Most definitely. I mean, the same thing with cars and all that. I mean, I don't want to deal with this dog. He might start barking. All that. Yeah, it's definitely, it'll be more of a hassle.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I've talked to a few people. I think my mentor, he kind of spoke on this a little bit, but most customers or people that want to purchase a dog, they don't really need a working dog or a dog that can devastate a man or beast. They usually just looking for something that'll be at the house and be a deterrent, like we spoke about.
Yeah, I would I would agree. Although I do feel that times are changing,
Oh
and
yeah,
I think that resources might be getting scarce soon. Not trying to be a fear monger or anything, but if you
right,
just pay
right.
attention to the news, the world isn't all sunshine and rainbows out there,
No,
and I think the time will come back where people need a real dog.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I think there's a part where that does get scary, where people will need those dogs, but then some don't know how to handle them,
Oh,
or
100%. Yeah.
yeah, or some will even get to that point where they use them for the wrong things. You might get the fighting, or I
Right.
even seen some people take dogs to dog parks and then let them loose, and then they just get the fighting dogs. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. We are a no dog park household over here, obviously. But
Most people are.
yeah,
Yeah,
for us, the way we approach that issue is we have a very long contract for people that want a dog from us.
okay,
And part of that contract is you are going to train your dog with a professional trainer, depending on your experience. If you are a professional trainer, I'm not going to make you do that because
right,
you know what you're doing. And a lot of professional trainers do get our dogs. But if if you're not and you don't have a ton of experience, like maybe you've had a mastiff, but it wasn't, turned up,
yeah,
or didn't have the drive our dogs have, like, okay, well, part of this is you need to find a trainer that can help you with this, and we check in and make sure everyone does. um, and that's brought us a lot of success with people being able to manage their animals. And I'm not one for telling people what to do, but when it comes to the animals we produce, we look at it like we're responsible for them, right? We're
right,
responsible for the outcome of their life. And um, if I need to make people go get training, that's what we're going to do.
right. And I love that too. I think that's really responsible, especially for the type of dogs you produce.
Yeah.
And I know where you got your foundation stock for your band dog program from. I think they even say some of the same things. They don't give those dogs to. I mean, they don't sell those dogs to everybody. I mean, the farmers or the ones that are more experienced with handling and training and whatnot.
Yeah, for real. They're not for everybody. Um,
Yeah,
you need a strong um, regiment. They need to have their program for the day, because these dogs will. What I tell people is, if you're not gonna give them a program, they're gonna give you a program.
right.
They'll take over. And
Yep.
you know, unfortunately, we've had instances like that where we've had to talk people through how to manage that. And um, it's like, well, the dog is kind of doing what it wants to do. It's like,
Yep.
well, why is that? Let's reverse engineer why this behavior is happening and see what we can do to correct it. And it 9 times out of 10, it's always an outlier, but it's and a handler that's not building a proper bond with their dog or laying the proper foundation.
Consistency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I was part of the reason why I kind of made this channel. So I was about, I think maybe 8, 9, 10 years old. I got a Presa Canario from
Like,
somebody that was a local breeder. So you can kind of imagine a 10-year-old boy with a Presa Canario, uh, just trying to manage all of that, manage stuff he wanted to do, and not knowing that he needed certain things to do to kind of express his energy that he had and what he was about. But luckily, he wasn't like a real dominant or one of those presses that might turn around and try and get at you. He was just more of a high energy type that was really wanted to go explore. So
that
I kind of made this channel just really to get a better understanding of things to do when you do have a dog, maybe like that, or Really, just to be a better dog person, dog man, and get some of the keys from some people I feel like have the proper foundation behind them when it comes to breeding, training, all of that.
Yeah, I commend you for that, man. I think that the more we share, the more that we work together, the more the dogs benefit.
Definitely.
Right? And I've learned a lot since I've gotten into dogs and being around. I've been privileged to be around some real dog men that have a ton of knowledge, and I've tried to pick their brain as much as I could, and they were open with me and taught me everything I know. So,
right.
If I didn't do the same, not that I'm as smart as them, but if I didn't
Yeah.
show I had to give, that'd be pretty awful. I think the community is better as a whole when we're all working together and the good vibes are out there. Obviously, there's pieces of shit out there, but
Yeah.
there's no barrier to entry in the dog world. That's something my friend always says, and he's dead on. So shout out to Savant Canine for that one. There's no barrier to entry in the dog world. Like anybody can go just start breeding dogs. Anybody can be a dog trainer.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm a dog trainer now.
Yeah. You're right.
Okay, I've seen some videos on there that like people that are dog trainers that have good followings too. And they're just leading people the wrong way. You know what I mean? So the more that we can collaborate and share together as a community, the dogs are the ones that win.
For sure. I mean, even the younger, because I'm young, I'm 18 years old. So I mean, even the younger group or the people that might be kind of a novice to this world. I mean, I think they benefit as well, just being able to get some of the information, even pass it down to whoever's coming next.
Yeah, no, I'm with it, man.
For
It's
sure.
I commend you for making the channel and seeking out as much knowledge as you can and sharing it.
I appreciate it. Okay. So let's get into the hybrid American Bulldogs. What is your experience with them, and what do you think of them?
Sure. So the hybrid dogs, there's some really nice dogs out there that don't quite fit or bully or standard. Right, they're in the middle.
Yep.
Now they call them hybrids. I call them blends.
Okay.
And the only reason I do that is because that's what Alan Scott calls them, and he's like a mentor to me. And what he says is like hybrids don't produce, like a mule is a hybrid,
Yeah.
right, and it's a blend of two lines of the same breed, basically.
Right.
So he calls them blends, but there's some beautiful dogs there. I think that a lot of people feel like that's the ideal type, because you can get the stature of a big bully dog.
Most definitely. Yep. That's what I see.
Yeah, with more athleticism. And the problem that I see is consistency and being able to consistently produce the hybrid type with success. There are people that do it, don't get me wrong, but it takes a long time and a lot of work to get where you want to be. Yeah, there's some dogs out there that I respect a lot that are hybrid dogs for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of them can do everything you'd want a bulldog to do. Period. There's some out there I don't like, but there's some standard dogs I don't like. Not one of the types is perfect, but I'd say the breed is as a whole is probably headed in that direction, where the hybrid, like people want the hybrid to be the standard dog.
Yeah.
And
I can see that.
Yeah, whereas standard dogs in the 60s, obviously I wasn't around then, but in talking to people like Don Matthews and Alan, a big one was 65 pounds. And that's an American Bulldog, a standard American Bulldog. They were smaller dogs. They've gotten a lot bigger over the years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like my female, I don't know if you've seen her. I sent you pictures of her. Justice. She's the red dog. She is 65 pounds.
She seems kind of smaller. Yeah.
She's a smaller dog, but like if you talk to people from back in the day, they're like, well, that's how they were. Like that's a very good representation of what a standard dog was.
Okay.
And to me, it's a problem. The problem is they find a bigger dog more alluring, right? They're attracted to the bigger dogs.
Yeah.
They want the big bully dogs. They want the big hybrid dogs. Where the type I like, I feel like is in danger a little bit, which is why we're kind of doing what we're doing with the preserving, like our whole American Bulldog thing is preserving the Scott American Bulldog. And I just feel the breed isn't doing enough Bulldog stuff with their dogs.
Yeah.
And they want bigger dogs because it looks better. Now, the hybrid dogs, or the blends, whatever you want to call them, they are really good, like sport dogs. Not all of them, but like there's certain lines. Like if you look at the Sure Grip stuff, or they dominated the West Coast in the sport world. A lot of IGP stuff. One that comes to mind too is KRK dogs. They have a great reputation for being extremely good at man work, like good working bulldogs.
Yeah.
Like I went hunting with one. Got down with hogs too, and she's a hell of a man dog. So there's some great bulldogs that are hybrid. A lot of people love the like heavy Bama boy stuff for man work, and yeah, that's a line of dogs that is pretty sought after for that kind of work, and I respect it a lot.
Okay, I'm about to look into that.
Yeah. The dog kind of has the dog himself, Bama Boy, kind of has a murky history, but you'll find that with a lot of American Bulldogs from back in the day, where good dog was where you found it.
Yeah.
People would make up pedigrees and hang papers and yeah, so like where that dog really came from, people, it's highly disputed.
Yeah.
But I don't care personally. Like, it makes no difference to me, like at all. That dog is the foundation for so many great performance American Bulldogs that like I don't care what made him up. And if people that get caught up on that stuff kind of forget the origins of the breed, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I think that it's definitely like an offshoot of the American Pit Bull Terrier.
Right.
I think that that's where the origin of the breed is. So somebody wanted to add more of that. I don't have a problem with it if it doesn't act like a bulldog anymore, an American Bulldog, then I get it. Like, okay, hey, that's not working, because there is a different temperament. But like as an outcross, or like you have a great dog that has some of that in there, I mean, back then anyway. I think now we have enough. We have enough in the gene pool for the American Bulldog where we can be successful without going outside the breed.
Right.
Yeah, I think people get hung up on that stuff too much.
Okay. So I think we're gonna touch on the on your bull visor project.
Cool.
So what is a bull visor?
Sure. So there was 2 dogs, a big one and a small one, basically, or a medium one, a big one and a smaller one. They were in the Germanic regions in like the 1600s, all the way up until 1900. They were bred for like hunting. The rich people, the royalty, they had the big version. They're like 28, 30 inches at the shoulder.
Okay.
They would hunt bears with them. But that was definitely the rich man's version of it. Where,
Right.
And then there was the bull visor of Brabant, which is the predecessor to the boxer, and it was a medium-sized dog, and it was in the like where the Netherlands are and Belgium today. Back then, that's kind of the region that it was prevalent, and they would do bull baiting, hunting boars. They were butchers' dogs, so they would have to guard the shop from man or beast. They would catch unruly livestock that would, be trying to escape the slaughter line or whatever, and they began to diminish, like the Napoleonic Wars. Really, that's when the turn started to happen, where the rich folks couldn't keep the dogs anymore. Times were changing, and it went to the farmers, and the farmers liked smaller dogs, a more nimble dog that could do more work in a sustained fashion, right? And that and the industrial revolution had a big effect on them. And by the time of the second industrial revolution, the need for those dogs had really diminished. So they looked to the at the time the old English bulldog from Britain, and they crossed the bull visor with the old English bulldog to make the boxer.
Okay.
And they did that to kind of water down the temperament, make it a little more tame, because they didn't need such an unruly beast anymore.
Yeah.
Just like let it off the leashes can go.
That's a lot of the history with a lot of these working breeds. I mean the Fila and I mean the Bloodhound. I mean those dogs were cooled down just to be able to be around families or people that couldn't maintain a dog of such drive or working ability.
Yeah, I agree, and it's affected a lot of dogs, for better or worse. It sucks those dogs aren't around anymore, but at the same time, geez, we probably don't need them here.
Right? Yeah, most definitely.
But yes, that's what the old bull visor was, and it turned into the boxer. Then unfortunately, I personally think the boxer got ruined. If you just kind of follow pictures, it's like, wow, that's a cool dog.
Yeah.
Then at some point, it's like, oh, that got ruined, right?
Yep. I was talking to somebody before we got on here. I was talking to somebody. They said the same thing. Boxer used to look real good. It was a real good looking dog, a good dog. I mean, and then it just diminished.
It was a war dog. They bred it for war, and it needed to be, calmer than the bull visor, but and more trainable. But still needed to be a gritty working dog that was capable of many tasks. And you'll still find some that can, but it's like a diamond in the rough. And what our dogs are is like, I'm not trying to recreate the bull and visor.
That was my next question.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Like, I don't think you ever could. What we have is we have a family of dogs that we're building, and it's in the spirit of that dog. Okay. So we have these 2 Old English boxer mixes, and we're breeding them to American bulldogs, our Scott bulldogs.
Yeah.
Right. And what we're looking for is like those early boxer type dogs before they were ruined, and the bull and visors that went into them. And it's just a dog that's capable of that same work, that has the same genetics somewhat, right? Like it goes back to that.
Right.
It's not obviously the same. I'm not trying to recreate a breed. I'm not trying to say I'm doing that. But we're creating a line of dogs that is capable of the same stuff and looks cool. And I like it.
Yeah. I like that though. I mean, I'm about to say trying to recreate it. I mean, not recreate, but try to restore a breed. I mean, that takes a lot of work and a lot of breeding.
I mean, just keeping a family of dogs is a lot of work. It's, it's not easy. And I'm blessed to have a wife that's involved and loves the dogs and is part of it. And like without that, I wouldn't be here. And it's hard on both of us. We have to make a lot of sacrifices. We travel all over the country to work and prove our dogs out. And we miss out on a lot of things. Like, oh, hey, the family's going on vacation. I guess we can't go. Yeah, these dogs to look after. Things like that. But the payoff is good. Like, I feel like we're making really good, healthy dogs that are capable and can help people out. And we enjoy it. We have a good time, but it's not easy. It's not easy at all.
Okay. So what have you seen from some of the dogs you've used in your you've used and created in your bull and visor project? What are some things you've seen from them?
Sure. So I'll start with Rambo and Stella, because those are the brother and sister that are the foundation of this. And they are bulldogs. They get down, and we've had them tested by third parties that are unbiased, and these dogs would get underestimated all the time because the short muzzle, whatever. But everyone that's worked them has been like, yeah, that dog's legit. Those dogs are legit. Like Rambo, he's the one where you said, oh, he has a Johnson American Bulldog. Then you put the video of him.
Yeah, that was the one I made a mistake on. Yeah.
No worries.
Right.
He's an incredibly special dog, and his sister was too. And they can hunt, they can catch hogs. They like Rambo would smash hogs. They'll just run into him like a hammer.
Yeah.
And he's doing bicep level man work. His obedience is, for me, it's pretty good. I'm not the best trainer or handler. We are part of a PSA club, and we're getting back into that, and I hope to start competing with him. He's getting older. He'll be 8 this year, but he's still got a lot left in the tank.
Right.
But there's really not much that you couldn't get out of him. like you name it, he could probably do it.
Yeah.
And his sister was the same way. She was a little slightly more defensive, but still had a ton of prey. But she went back and forth a little more, whereas he is that extreme prey that I was talking about that I really like.
Yeah.
Like we've done, suit work with a decoy with smoke bombs going off and getting hit with sticks and all that, a lot of pressure, and he don't care. He's just having a good time, like when you hit him and like to make the point that pressure is perceived, right? What is pressure to some dogs isn't pressure to all dogs. Like hitting him, that's not pressure to him. It's like, oh, cool, we're having a good time.
Right.
And, yeah, he's just a really good dog. I wish I had a earlier start with him in the sport stuff because it's fun, but there's not much he couldn't do. I mean, he's like 22 inches at the shoulder, probably about 70 pounds. So a medium-sized dog, but he can get over a 6-foot fence easy. His sister could get over a 6-foot fence easy. His sister probably 19 inches at the shoulder, 55 pounds. Yeah, both tested on man and beast real hard, and they always came through. I took them to Misfit K9 to have them worked. I've had them worked here at PSA clubs. Like I'll show up anywhere with those dogs.
Yeah.
I know that they'll be good. Like there's no worries. But to the point, we looked at the Scott dogs as a way to improve them. Right. Why? Well, with that short, like they breathe really good for what they are. They can run miles in the Texas heat. They can outperform a lot of dogs that you wouldn't think they could, but
nice.
But they still can have improvements.
Right.
And getting that longer muzzle and more leg gives them, a bigger cold air intake and better wheels, right?
Yeah.
It's like upgrading a car, kind of, and like you're putting on bigger performance parts, better performance parts. The engine is already good, and you're upgrading around it, and you're not like the engine isn't getting sacrificed with the Scott dogs at all. And the combination, I also have a belief that when you have a boxer, they go back to the bull and visor. If you cross boxers with something that is nasty or combative or built for that, I think it wakes something up in those old genetics.
Right.
I really do, because that bulldog that they were bred with, like those dogs, they don't act like boxers. They act like bulldogs. And, they have the added agility of a boxer. And I think that's something that's understated too, which is when you bring down the bulk, even in bone, like, yeah, you want substantial bone that is good for combat, good for working, but not so much so that you sacrifice too much agility, right? And the boxer, like people say, oh, boxers don't bring anything to the table. Have you seen one move? They move really well.
Yeah.
And if you get the right one to the right thing, you can have some really good results. You just need to be ethical about it. You need to test really hard.
Right.
And that kind of brought us to where we are with, Cowboy and Jazzy is our first generation of the Bull and Visor project. And we're thrilled with where we're at. Like
nasty.
Yeah. Cowboy is probably the most, he's the most intense dog that we have. he can run forever too. Like his stamina is amazing. He's fast, but his drive and grit are they're very formidable. And we've had him tested and worked by a few people we really respect, and he's done very well. I don't think he will be the greatest sport dog, just because he has his own motivations. A lot of these bulldogs, that's kind of the struggle that you'll get, why the herders are so good. Like the bulldog wants to do what he wants to do, and it's harder to put that obedience on him,
right,
comparatively to a herder who's
because the herders are more into you.
And they're biddable. They're so biddable and trainable. They're so intelligent. Whereas these guys are grittier. It's a trade-off. But for a hunting dog and a protection dog, I think we're definitely on the right path. And I think that there will definitely be some sport dogs to come out of this line. But for sure there will be. But I don't think he wouldn't go very far, I don't think, because he kind of has a mind of his own.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like I said, man. I like the Bull and Visor project, man. I mean, like especially Cowboy, like you said, he's one of the most intense dogs. I can see it, especially from the videos you sent me of him working, and Jazzy also. I mean, I can see it. I can see it on him.
Yeah, Jazzy too. She's an intense dog, and like they have that together, and I'm excited to see how the line progresses and what happens next, because if everything works out, we got some good stuff coming.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, what do you want to see this project in, let's say, the next 5 to 10 years? And what's the end result?
Sure. So, well, definitely more consistency. Like they're pretty consistent, like together you could tell they're brother and sister.
Right.
There were other dogs in the litter that were great dogs, but they have a different look to them. So refining that, getting the consistency around phenotype, and then in 10 years, I hope that we have an established line of dogs that we can tap into. And hopefully we have some titles and things like that in the sport world or protection world. That would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, I have a standard that I've written out
nice
for the dogs, and we're going to try our best to adhere to that and create something that is worthwhile and substantial, and that for us, and what's big on us, or big to us, is that we produce dogs people can depend on.
Right.
No matter what type of dog it is, which project we have, that these dogs are dependable, and we're setting them up for success, and putting them in the right avenue of work, and making sure that they have fulfilled lives, right? They get to do what they want to do. And if I can consistently do that, I'll call it a success.
Okay. Sweet, man. I mean, it's definitely a good goal. So I'm gonna ask you this. I mean, we kind of touched on your band dog program a little bit, but I'm starting to ask a lot of people with band dogs or the massive types. Starting to ask them these questions as far as what does band dog mean to you?
Sure, that's a good question. To me, it's basically a job.
Right.
It's a dog that is proven on man and beast. Um, there's the historical answer of in the 1800s, they banded them by chains and let them out at night.
Right.
Or it is a banded dog, band dog. They released them off the chain to roam, and they would just go eliminate whatever the heck they could find, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not a band dog to me anymore. We live in different times, but a dog that's proven on man and beast.
Okay. Let me see. Kind of go in depth a little bit more, but what is that dog supposed to be in your eyes, and what do you expect of it?
Sure. So for us, we have Mastiff type band dogs.
Right.
They, again, very little bulldog. So that's different than if I had a bulldog heavy band dog.
Like a 50-50 or like a somewhere around there. Not like
if anything over 50-50, right?
Yeah.
I don't look for the same behavior.
Right.
A Mastiff, is a thoughtful dog. It understands context.
Discernment.
Correct. Discernment. It has discernment, and they're aloof. They don't want to be friends with new people, but they're not gonna just
snap off on you.
Right. They're not indiscriminately going to be going after everybody.
Right.
And for me, I like that in a band dog where there's stability. And I mean, every dog has teeth. Every dog can bite. A dog that understands the when and why is what's important to me, for liability reasons, and for setting our clients up for success.
Right.
Because if you just, obviously some people want a junkyard dog.
Yeah.
I can't give that to you. That's not something that we work for. I mean, you could train it, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying some dogs are born like that, and that's not the dogs that we have.
It's not dependable.
I don't think so, unless you just want a junkyard dog that's guarding something all the time. And there's a use for that. That's just not what we're into. And I think once you get to a certain point of bulldog, I would rather just have a bulldog than a bulldog heavy band dog. Obviously, there's some good ones out there. I'm just saying my own preference, because I feel like if you're that heavy into bulldogs, that Mastiff is just giving you a shitty bulldog.
Right.
And really, when the bulldog can pull the best out of the Mastiff, if you have a little infused in there, but it's still predominantly Mastiff, I think it's what they need to be more successful, to be honest. But I would rather have an American bulldog than those heavy bulldog band dogs. I'd rather just get a dog because it's a bulldog. Now, that's not universal. Like there's programs like Manson Family Band Dogs. Those guys have what I would call the most successful band dog program there is. Like you look at the titles that they've put on those dogs, I don't think anybody can argue. And they're bulldog heavy band dogs.
Yeah.
but they did it right. And I've met one. He had discernment. He had context. He was a good dog. Beautiful too. But yeah, so that's just to not discredit that completely. Like there's some people out there doing it right. It's just you see a lot of people out there that I don't think are, and the results are a bit skewed to being a bulldog that's diminished in some capacity, in my opinion. Like the mastiff can bring a little instability with its darkness. So if you're putting in a little bit of mastiff with a really heavy bulldog, like you're just getting a more trigger happy bulldog that's a little sharper. I don't know. It really depends on the line of dogs.
Right.
That's what I was saying. Like, this is what I like and what I expect out of a band dog. Someone else might expect something completely different. But for me, it's what we go for is a dog that can be with the family, be cool, and is going to keep bad people away from them and can perform when needed to perform. And if you want to be a weekend warrior and go out and do some hunting with your dog too, cool, because they'll do that too.
So great explanation, man. So you got your foundation from Andante Band Dog, correct?
No, so there's Andante in there.
Yeah.
But, we got our dogs, the foundation, from a gentleman named Curtis Nicholson, and he had some great dogs, and he I'm trying to remember, but they had Andante dogs that were imported from Slovakia.
Yeah.
And they did different pairings with those dogs, and one of the mom to our dog Major, even though it's from Andante, it's actually only a quarter Andante. The other part, like half of it, is PPB, which is, they're no longer around, but you check those dogs out and they're hot, man. There's a reason why they got this dog. So they imported Morenita PPB from Spain, and they bred it to their dog Psycho Andante. But Psycho Andante was off of a female named Karma from Greece, from On Off Band Dogs. I don't know if you've heard of them, but
I haven't. Man, you gaming me up on the band dogs out there.
Yeah,
I haven't heard them.
Those are two like OG names in the band dog game. You look at PPB, it's Carlos something, I forget what, but he had a Pressa kennel and a band dog kennel. His Pressas were really good, and his band dogs were really good. Check out this dog named Corso with a K, Korso.
I used to watch. No, not used to. I still do. I kind of repost some of their content, give them credit. Working Mastiffs on YouTube. I watched them. There was a dog called Corso on there. You just rung a bell, and it was with the K. It was Pressa, I think, Neapolitan or something like that.
Yeah, so that dog is in our dogs.
That
dog was a monster.
Yeah, I saw the video, man. Yeah.
By all accounts, people really like dogs that are off of him. So I think he produced Canella PPB. Canella PPB is like a beautiful red coat, like a red brindle and a red nose band dog. And we have two dogs that are off of Amara Andante, and Amara Andante is red brindle with a red nose, and the two that we have, one is Major and the other one is Freya. and they're both red with red noses. And they're just beautiful. Like everyone likes a certain look, you know.
Right.
I love that look with these dogs, and they are no joke.
Yeah.
They are serious dogs that don't play around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not for everybody, but like they're great with our family. They love our kids. They're gentle with the children. Um, we actually got Freya. This is how strong these instincts are. Like we bought Freya when she was 3, I believe, and it's because their owner wasn't. I don't think she was told what this dog was, and she could not handle the dog, and she needed to get rid of the dog. The dog was not being fulfilled. It was living in a crate mostly, you know, let out. I'm not. It was fed well. Like they made sure it had basic necessities, but the dog was always trying to kill their cat. Just always, and it just caused a lot of problems. And the dog was so strong that they couldn't restrain the dog.
Right.
So one of our friends let us know, hey, this dog needs a home. And again, shout out to my awesome wife. She's like, okay, you could get the dog. So we got the dog, and yeah, she's amazing for us, right?
Yeah.
That dog into the right application, and she's thriving. But we had her probably, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, and she was already getting very protective of us and our like being like doing her job, you know,
Right.
And protective of our kids, and like especially the kids. Like she wasn't playing any nonsense. And we bonded with her very very quickly, and it's worked out really well.
Cool.
Yeah.
So where are you kind of at right now in your band dog program, and where do you want to be once again, like 5 to 10 years down the line?
Sure. So at this point, I think we'll do one more band dog pairing that is band dog to band dog.
Yeah.
And that will be Major and Sahara. And Sahara is from Savant Canine, who's a really good friend of mine. And her lineage is Australian band dog. He imported a dog from Australia. And then from hog hunting lines, his name's Cairo. And then the dam was a working Neapolitan Mastiff. I'll put that in quotes because there's some other stuff in there, but that's what they called him over there. Right. Very neo type, but tighter than like a regular neo, and they call them working neos. Right. But yeah, she's a heck of a dog, and she has enough bulldog in her that I'm not worried about. I'm not worried about it, but I think we're at that stage now where we need to put bulldog back in. And there goes another use for the Scott dogs, right?
Right.
And that's why we got those dogs, because they're just so dependable for everything that I don't think they're going to mess anything up. Period. And we'll infuse that in there. And we'd like to keep it around a quarter bulldog, you know, like 75% massive, a quarter bulldog. I think that's the sweet spot to get the types that we like.
Right.
And 10 years, I honestly see us kind of having less band dogs and, moving more towards the Bull and Visor project and the American Bulldogs, but we'll always be in it. Like we'll have them, and we'll be working with our network to get things done, and working with Guardian Homes and stuff like that. But I would like to again have a consistent line of dogs that's a family of dogs. With the Mastiffs, I don't think you can go as tight. Unfortunately, I don't think you can breed as tight as you could with Bulldogs, just due to recessive traits that they have. So it'll be a little more, I don't want to say scatterbred, but there will be a lot more hybrid vigor in the Mastiff band dogs.
Right.
Whereas it'll still be a family. Like you could still see on pedigree, like, okay, I see what they're doing. That dog's in there. That dog's related to that dog. But you can't like have the same dog in the pedigree like 10 times. I don't think. Like if you're going Bulldog heavy, that's something that you can do if you do it correctly. You still can bottleneck your genes. But with the Mastiffs, I think you need to be a lot more careful about that because of all the recessive traits that they have, right? But yeah, so we'll keep the genetic diversity that makes the band dog special. We'll add the Bulldog in, keep that consistency, continue to work the dogs. I would like to have some titles by then. We have a dog named Vision that's well, we don't have him. We produced a dog named Vision that
I like Vision.
Yeah, he's a good dog. And he's just coming into his own now. He just turned 2, so it's on.
Oh man, just 2.
Well, in December he just turned 2. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I mean,
these dogs, they wake up late, and
yeah.
I think she'll probably put a title on him. We'll see. No pressure. If she doesn't, that's all good too. But
Right.
That would be pretty cool.
And when you say title, you mean like a sport title?
Yeah. And again, I don't judge the dogs by sport titles. I think sport is definitely different than personal protection.
Right.
But I think that like a dog should still be able to do those tasks.
Yeah.
You just gotta know what you're doing, and yeah. So that'll be cool. And if we can get more of that, we also have another one in an American Schutzhund club.
Okay.
They'll be going for I forget what it's called, but it's the equivalent of a BH in American Schutzhund. They'll be going for that soon, so that'll be cool. Shout out to Gavin and Liliana for doing right by Vision and Kronk.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, we really appreciate them, and yeah, more of that. More people enjoying their dogs and having dependable dogs.
Yeah.
And I hope to leave something that's lasting behind.
Right.
That's the goal.
Okay. Oh, well, where can the people find you at?
Well, AUTHENTIC9 on Instagram, or James A. K9 on Facebook.
All right. Okay.
We have a website too, AUTHENTIC9.dog.
Okay. All right. Yeah, y'all check him out. Go follow that brother. I mean, like I said, you got the gist of his program. I mean, what he's doing, and like I said, I love it, man. I mean, you really invested time into it, and like I said, I think you gonna achieve all your goals. And good luck to you, brother.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on and taking the time to talk with me. It means a lot, and I appreciate it. And I wish you the most success in your endeavor in dogs as well, man. Whatever that might be.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it from us for this week. Let's continue to better our minds and dogs, people.